Hey everybody, it's Fabrizio Aiello, comic book creator, and today I want to talk about measuring your creative progress. Now, there are some subjective, but there are also some objective ways that you can measure your progress in drawing and writing, and then using that to sort of plan your goals, to figure out, where you need to practice, how you need to practice, and also a timeline on when you might actually achieve whatever goals you set out to achieve. So the first thing people usually do is find a person to give them the most feedback. And this is obviously very valid. I did a video on critiquing your critique, which is a little more appropriate. So this is for tools that you can use without actually having to rely on somebody else. So the first for drawing is a big one, is a fundamental one, and it is, are you finishing more of your drawings? When you're first starting out to draw, a lot of people, me included, abandon drawings very quickly. But if you find yourself, hey, you know what, I've actually been finishing every drawing that I've done, my pile of finished is a lot bigger than my pile of unfinished, then you can really see that, yeah, you have progressed. There was a question on one of my live streams, how do I know when a drawing is not salvageable? And my answer was, when I have ripped the paper. So as far as I'm concerned, the drawing will get finished unless I've destroyed the paper. The next thing to do is flipping your drawings. Now, that's not a new technique. Everybody knows how to flip your drawing, use a mirror to see what you've messed up. But the thing to pay attention to is how often you have to fix it after you flip your drawing. For example, when I was doing my first issue of Horace H. Hoover, I would take a drawing of everything, I would flip it, and I had to fix maybe 8 out of every 10 times. When I got to issue 2, I'm fixing 2 or 3 out of every 10 times. And now it's actually very rare that I have to fix a drawing whenever I flip it. So that's it's an objective standard of measurement that you can use. You can notice how often you actually have to fix your drawing flipping it. And that's a measure of basically how well you can see your drawing and how well you can see form and volume and perspective. It's an overall sort of gauge. The other thing you can do is redraw the exact same picture later on. You can look at a pile of 100 drawings and you can step back and say, yeah, I think my anatomy is better. I think my perspective is better. I think my storytelling is better. The best way to objectively know that is by redrawing the exact same scene. So take the perspective, setting, the characters, everything, and redraw it to the best of your abilities now. And you will have a very clear picture of where you've progressed, where you've plateaued, and maybe you've regressed in some areas. The other is, it's a little subjective, but it's a pretty good measure, is that how fast you are without reducing quality. So originally it would take me 16 hours to do a page, and then eventually it's 12 hours to do a page, and I'm slowly getting faster, but I'm not actually reducing in quality. I do want to talk about writing a little bit. There's a few things that I think are pretty good measurements of progressing in writing, but they are admittedly more subjective. And the first is, are you editing less? After you get the outline and that first draft, do you have to edit 5 times before you can finally sort of craft what you were looking for? Are you reaching your goal after 5 times? Or are you only editing twice and you're actually achieving what you're looking for after 2 times or even 1 time? And again, this is subjective, but you get a feel for, I'm reaching my goal quicker. This may seem like a small one, but to me, I feel like it's important. Are you making less grammatical and punctuation mistakes? This just gives you an idea of how well you're grasping language in general. So, after you've got dialogue and character and plot structure and all of that down, if you understand language and vocabulary and you're using them properly, you don't have to look as many words up in the dictionary. This is another standard of measurement that, yeah, you are getting better. And that's, again, that helps you figure out what you need to work on. The last is pretty subjective, but I think this is important. And it's, are you eliciting the reaction that you're expecting more often? So maybe your first short story is a murder mystery, and everybody basically says, I didn't really get the ending. It came out of nowhere. I didn't understand why this particular character killed these other characters. But after 4 or 5 stories, you are actually getting the response you're looking for, whether it's a happy ending or a sad ending, whatever the case may be. You are actually eliciting the expected response. The last thing is, how often do you measure your progress? If you measure too often, you're going to get frustrated. If you're expecting every time you sit down to progress, maybe you will, but maybe you won't. So I would say at minimum, every time you start a new project. That's the perfect time to sort of look back at what you've done, see where you were, and then move into the next drawing or story or something like that. Hopefully this helped. If you have any questions, let me know. Like, subscribe. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.